Knocking people out is actually easier than you think, because it just comes down to 3 different things, and if you can master them, KOing people becomes easy. Those 3 things is what you see in high level fighters. They all master them, and that's why it's so easy for them, or it seems so easy for them to KO people. And I'm going to give you drills and exercises so you can master them. Now first is timing. So now let's first understand what timing actually is. Now we can see that really good here in this fight. So for example, here in this scenario, Gamboa drew out his jab and was instantly countered by Davis. Now you see that Davis timed the shot perfectly. He threw the uppercut at the perfect time. The time where the jab hand of Gamboa was out, creating an opening for that uppercut. If you would throw it a bit later or a bit too early and so on, maybe it does not have the same impact, okay? As well, another master timing is Bivol. You see always in his fights, he just counters the jab, okay? Somebody draws out a jab, he counters the jab with a jab, okay? Now, he times this jab so perfectly that it just wins him fights. He might not create KOs with this all of the time, but it just wins him fights. And we can again learn from him how to have great timing. So he often counters the jab with a jab of his own, and it just comes perfect after the opponent hit him again, where the hand maybe coils back, but it's still out, you know, just at the split second where the opponent has his hands out and is exposed. And again, the same goes for kicks, knees, spinning back kicks, spinning back fists, and so on. And really important is when you want to have good spinning back fists and good spinning attacks in general, timing is really important. For these specific techniques, timing is really important, okay? Also knockouts that you see with a spinning back kick and so on is maybe when somebody rushes in and so on, and they just time it perfectly. Now here another fight where you can see kicks are used is a UFC fight. It's a bit older, but you see here the opponent came in with a big overhand, okay? And Stevens just times the kick perfectly, hitting him whilst he's leaning in, okay? And so perfect again here. Now guys, just to say, the most knockouts happen with counters, okay? There's not a statistic, but I see the most fights where knockouts happen are with counters. If you can learn how to counter, guys, you will knock out people easily. And now I'm going to tell you something, is why is it not a separate category? Because counters go hand in hand with timing. To have great counters, you need to have great timing, okay? So if you want to KO people easily, you need to master counters, okay? I'm going to give you some drills now, how to train your timing and how to train your counters. So now the first thing that is important is your reaction time. Now how to train your reaction time is first you can do slipping drills with a partner, simple. You can also do a tennis ball drill where somebody throws a tennis ball at you, you need to slip, you know. You can do the sticks falling down. But what is really great is first of all going on humanbenchmark.com, doing the reaction time test there every day, you know, trying to improve every day. As well another thing, yeah, sleep good and so on. But what also helped me with my reaction time personally are 2 things, and that are video games. I'm not going to lie, really since I play video games, my reaction time has gone up. I do not know why, but it's just the case. There are a lot of studies that support this, and as well, watching fights and just blocking whatever it is on screen that somebody's showing. You know, kind of like a visual sparring, but you're just watching a 1FC fight, boxing fight, and you just slip whatever maybe Canelo on screen is showing. You know, you watch a fight and you just slip. You defend whatever is on screen. Now another way how you can drill this is again watch fights, but every time you see an opening, okay, throw out something, okay? So stand up, watch a fight, boxing fight, 1FC fight, and every time you see one fighter opening up, throw out, but as fast as you can, you know, just every time you see somebody dropping their hands or you see them shutting up and being open here, and that will again train your timing and your reaction time and as well your counters, okay? And what also helps are the basic good old drills, you know. We can do first of all, again, slipping drill, counter drill, you know, where somebody just throws something at you, you're maybe punching, and whilst you're punching, you get a punch back and you need to instantly counter back. Another drill that you can do is just one partner doesn't punch, okay, but he just flows around, you know, maybe taps you a bit, you know, to keep it moving, but he's sometimes just opening himself up, okay? And then every time you see himself opening up, you need to go in instantly, you know, you need to have that reaction time every time somebody's open up to go in, okay? So you see there, you stand here, you see, oh, he dropped his hands, or he did that, and then you just go in, okay? So your partner needs to open himself up, like willingly, okay? So now the next key is creating openings. Now, to create openings on your opponent to land your knockout shot, it is really simple, okay? We have 3 common ways to do it. First of all, we have feints. Then you have misdirecting your opponents. And third of all, we have combinations and pressure. Now, the first way is feints. Now, how can you make feints effective? Because I personally struggled with feints, you know, my feints didn't really look good. My feints weren't convincing, and a lot of people do it as well. Now, how can you make your feints more convincing? It's really, really simple. First of all, throw out a punch, okay? We can just do that. Throw the punch, maybe stand up, throw the punch. And now I want you to throw the punch, but just before you really contract fully, before it hits here, pull it back here, but not fully, okay? So, and now you see you feint, okay? You throw a punch. A feint is simply throwing a punch, but recoiling it before it hits the target, okay? So you do not want to hit the target. You just throw it out, you throw it out, and you maybe coil back here, boof, okay? You can maybe even turn your body, you can also feint with your foot, okay? Just step in, do all of that, feint with your head, What I would advise you is just film yourself and drill it in front of a mirror to see if the feints are truly convincing, and then get feedback in sparring. So just go in sparring, see if it works, and if it doesn't work, then maybe film yourself in sparring as well and see what went wrong, and then again come back and then just make it more effective, because feints need to be effective to work. Also, what is important for feints is that you are in the perfect range, okay? So do not be too near, but also do not be too far away. If you are on the distance far out, where you cannot do kicks, where you cannot do punches, nothing, then nobody will buy your feint, You need to be on the 1.5 distance, where you can maybe kick, you cannot really punch, but you can punch with a step in, okay? So being on that distance, kind of a bit more in, where still they are worried of a punch, but again, you can get out safely. And now, for example, here again, another fight from Canelo against Triple G, the second fight, is where we see Canelo feinting out his jab, okay? He misdirected him as well. We're going to talk about what misdirecting is in a second, but he misdirected him and then feinted his jab out a bit and threw out his hook, okay? It's very subtle feint here, but again, he threw out his jab, he reacted, and then he just threw out his hook. And that's just how you use feints to get a clean shot, Just feint out, they are opening up somewhere because they want to block, they react, they flinch, whatever, and then you just throw out the hand where the opening is now created, okay? You see here again, in the fight against Triple G, Canelo created an opening with that feint. And now another feint that Canelo uses, just to give you a bit more value, is just he's putting out his hands, okay? Just putting up his hands and then maybe throwing an uppercut. It's really simple for Canelo, just throwing out the hand and then throwing an uppercut, okay? And it works with high-level people because, again, it maybe doesn't look like a punch, but it's something, It still bothers them because he is in the range again, and you just think, oh, what was that, okay? Maybe they look at it. And so you can use feints again, and then they're opened up, and now the uppercut lands. And so again, there are other feints that maybe do not look like punches but also work. But the best feints again are just the ones that look like punches or even like kicks. Okay. Now as well we have Adesanya also mastered feints against Silva. We see in the fight Israel Adesanya just feinting constantly. If you want to learn feints, watch this fight. Watch Israel Adesanya against Anderson Silva. Go in, watch this fight, and you will learn a lot about feints. Now Israel Adesanya just feints out the jab, feints out the kick, whatever. And Anderson Silva was just biting on those feints, opening himself up against flinching. And then, again, you're open on the side for a hook, for a cross, for whatever. And again, this is where knockouts happen. Now let's talk about misdirecting opponents. And I was sparring lately, and I spot a guy, and he threw one hard leg kick out. And then he threw another leg kick out, but to the back, and then again to the front, He did that all of the time, he switched up, and I just felt the pain, and I thought, man, this hurts, okay? I do not want this leg kick. And now I was worried about this leg kick, but I just ignored everything that is happening up here, okay? So I watched the leg kick, I blocked the whole time, I was scared, And this is what misdirecting opponents is, hurting them with one attack, making them think about one attack, but then coming with another, again with feints and so on, So in this scenario, what he didn't really do, because he was not a good boxer, but he just gave me a lot of leg kicks. Now what could he do? Feint the leg kick, feint the low kick, come up top, hurt me up top, because I was fully open here on my head. For example, again, we saw the Canelo fight where he feinted out his jab. I said that he was misdirecting Triple G. Why was he? Because he just jabbed the whole fight. Maybe hurt Triple G a few times with that jab, And so he thought about this jab. He thought about blocking it. He thought about reacting to it. But then the hook came, So you just misdirect opponents. You just gave them something to think about, maybe hurting them with a lot of body kicks. And then feinting the body kick out and then coming to the head. And the last thing to create opening was building killer combinations and pressure. First of all, pressure opens up your opponents. They're shelling up, they're walking. So you can land good shots with this. You see, a lot of pressure fighters are just pressuring. The opponent is just shelling up on the ropes and you can just blast on them. Pressuring is really, really important in fight sports most of the time. You cannot be the guy that is getting pressured. You do not need to be a pressure fighter, but never be the guy that is getting pressured. More be that guy that pressures. Okay, so just a quote here. But again, building killer combinations is simple. Okay, you just download data, so you feint when the fight starts. You throw out some shots, not with full power, but you just see how they block, you see how they react, you see if they even block. Maybe they do not even block some certain attacks, and then just download data. You see how they're reacting, you see what they're doing, and now you can build combinations on it. So you maybe see again, they may be shelling up a bit with the jab, you just throw the jab, and now you can build combinations from it. With jab, maybe he's opening up here, so on a hook, and then maybe go to the body, level change, because you see him again opening up here, and then just throw a shot to the leg, You just download data, you need to see how they react, what they're good at, maybe again watch fights before that, see what they're good at, and then just build combinations accordingly in the fight. But it isn't being here, shelling up, and just thinking a minute what you're going to throw, thinking 10 seconds. No, it is going in and on the spot, in the millisecond, knowing what you're going to throw. So how you can drill this is heavy back work, but fast, okay? So you go in, you maybe block a bit, but then you go in again and build a combination on the spot and imagine the person being there. And so you go in, but you do not stand here and think, okay, what I'm going to throw now. You go in and you do it fast, okay? So you go in and then you throw something out, but you imagine quickly a person just maybe reacting to feints, maybe opening up somewhere, okay? So you imagine that quickly and just go in, and now he's on the body, now he's on the head, just doing that quickly. Another way is build combinations yourself at home. So you just take 10 minutes a day to build that fight IQ, to be here and think, okay, I want to land a body kick. What combination could I throw? Imagine the person, imagine what they're doing, and imagine how this combination could look like and how an effective combination would be. Now, the first days you do that, your fight IQ wouldn't be good. But if you do that every day and you just build combinations on your own, you think what you could do to land a certain technique, then believe me, bro, your fight IQ will skyrocket with this. Yo, bro, I just want to say my community, Combat School, has just opened. In there, you get direct access to me. So every time you have a problem or something didn't work in sparring, you can just DM me and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. As well, we do group coaching calls every Saturday where we break down your training footage, help you with your problems, do Q&As. As well, we have courses in there, the Soviet Strength and Conditioning course, we have the diet course, we have everything in there as well, the community that helps each other out. Every time I learn something new, you will learn it as well, and so on. So guys, join Combat School now, it's only 29 bucks a month, the price is going up soon, so I see you in there. And as well, watch fights and just think, what combination could I throw right now? You see where they're opening up, you see, okay, what combination could I throw right now to hurt this opponent, to knock this person out? That's also what builds your fight IQ. So now last thing is biomechanics. Now power is really important for KOs as well. But the thing is that power is not the most important thing, so that's why it's last. Timing and creating openings is far more important than having knockout power, okay? But now how can you get knockout power with biomechanics? Now the reason why you do not have knockout power, like a Canelo and so on, is just because your biomechanics are off, okay? They are not all genetically gifted, they just have biomechanics. Biomechanically, they're doing something that loads up their muscles with kinetic energy, and that is the stretch shortening cycle. So now when you jump, you cannot try it, okay? Jump right now, stand up, go down, dip down, and then jump, okay? You see you can jump high. Now, do not dip down and just from your standing position jump up. You see you do not jump as high. Now the same thing is with punches. Your punches right now is the second jump. You are not loaded up. That's why you do not have that power. But what fighters are doing is loading themselves up. So now how you can do that again is with the stretch shortening cycle. So the stretch phase is where you dip down, kinetic energy stores. Okay, we want to do the same in punches. Kinetic energy stores, and then comes the concentric phase, the contraction, where you jump up. Okay, the shortening of the muscle. Okay, simplified for this. Eccentric to concentric. That's just the stretch shortening cycle simplified. Now how you can... By the way guys, we have a full course made to the stretch shortening cycle, how you can train it, what Soviet boxers used to train the stretch shortening cycle. And also we analyzed dozens of fighters, what they're doing for their biomechanics to just get knockout power, like Pereira, Semi-Shield and so on. Now how you can do elastic energy maxing, or how you can get more elastic energy in your punches, is first creating stretch to the body. So what you do is first moving your hips, and then the punch legs a bit behind, okay? Your arm legs a bit behind, but the hips move first, then the arm, okay? So it creates stretch throughout the kinetic chains of your body. You see as well when you watch Canelo and so on, Alex Pereira, all of them. You see their hips are moving first, and then the arm legs a bit behind their body, and then the hook is coming, okay? That just gives you the whip-like energy. And another way how you can do this as well is just dipping down and then going up, you know? Again, you load yourself up when you dip down and then you just punch. Another way again is loading up like this, you know? Doing this, maybe loading up with your hook and now your cross is loaded up, okay? So you just use that, you use the stretch shortening cycle to load yourself up and to just become a more powerful fighter. Guys, I'll see you back soon for another video. Oos!